Okay, let's just say it. Most of the confusion in church teams isn't a spiritual attack. It's actually a communication problem. So you thought you explained it, they thought they understood it, but then Sunday came and chaos followed. Why? Well, because churches are full of good-hearted people working with half the info and 100% of the pressure. Clarity isn't wholly by default. It's built on purpose. So if you're tired of miscommunication, missed deadlines, and ministry mayhem, it's time to stop expecting people to read your mind and start building systems that actually work. Have you ever been in a meeting where someone gave instructions that made perfect sense to them, but then left everybody else quietly wondering, wait, what are we supposed to do? Maybe you've watched a leader say something once and then expect everybody to just run with it. No follow-up, no reminders, just mind reading. The truth is, teams in church can't read the minds of their leaders, and this gap between what was said and what was actually understood is where that confusion, that frustration, and that burnout sneak in. Today, we're going to unpack why churches often assume clarity exists when it doesn't, and how we can all help create teams that are healthy, clear, and actually on the same page. Now, I'm guilty of this. If you asked my team today, they might say, yeah, I've had him do that once or twice, but we have a brand new team we've had for about 6 months. The team prior to that, yeah, man, they would definitely share some stories. I've been like that for a long time. When I was a kid, 10 or 11, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And if you don't know much about that, we tend to just say things. And because of the fact that we said it, we believe that everybody's mind processed it the way we did. So sometimes I can be really bad at giving instruction. I'll say, I want to do this. And I didn't give any clarity on what the win was. I didn't give any clarity on what success looked like. I didn't help them understand anything. So I've had to really, really focus in on when I'm giving an instruction, making sure there's clarity. I've upset a lot of people in my leadership because they thought they knew what I meant. I thought they knew what I meant. And then we come together and we don't resolve anything. Then that has some bitter feelings. You know, Pastor Stephen's not a good leader. He doesn't actually care about us, because then I'm upset. Why didn't you do it the way I wanted you to do it? And they don't have the guts to say, hey, you didn't tell me, because they're intimidated. You're their leader. Like, I'm the pastor. I should have been caring for them, and I didn't. And the truth is, a lot of confusion in church teams, it doesn't come from a lack of heart. It doesn't come from a lack of wanting to. It just comes from a lack of clarity. And maybe that's you. Maybe you are the pastor who lacks clarity. Maybe you're the person whose leader lacks clarity in the church. I want to have a conversation with you about that. Here's a myth that sometimes we can believe as leaders. Once something is said out loud, it's clear. That is false. Real clarity is not just spoken, it's understood, it's owned, and it's lived out. So think of it like this. Just because the worship leader says, hey, sound check's at 7:30, it doesn't mean everybody heard it, remembered it, or even knew what sound check includes. Verbal communication leads to missed expectations, honestly. Verbal communication by itself can lead to broken trust. And a lot of people are doing what they thought was right, but it's not right. The cost of assumed clarity when churches operate on it, well, here's what happens. People burn out from guessing what's expected. And listen, let me speak directly to your team leads, to your pastors, to your staff. We are the ones who are burning them out. Yeah. Because we are assuming clarity on their behalf. Now, here's what happens though. When you are the person, like you're the volunteer, you're the staff member who your leader has given you something, and then you assume that you're clear on it, your leader's going to get frustrated because they have to keep repeating themselves. Because then they have to go back and micromanage your work. Now, some leaders are designed to micromanage. Some leaders just want to micromanage. Some leaders are forced to micromanage. So there's a play on both sides here. If you're a leader and you assume clarity, your volunteers are going to feel unsure if they're doing it right. And eventually your team morale drops. Nobody knows why. And we try to trace it back to, all kinds of different things. Well, they just must have a life issue. Oh, they must have a sin issue. They must have a faith issue. Man, that toxic, crazy talk. But honestly, the truth is people just didn't really know what was expected of them. Been there. So one of the best ways to support clarity in your church is by repeating the same message in 3 different ways. The first is simple. You have to say it. You have to share the message verbally. I'm going to talk about this in a future episode where I talk to you about how to create, curate, and communicate important items in your church, specifically your mission and vision. Look, I remember when we changed the mission statement of our church. I can't remember what the old one was, but we have a new one. It's to introduce real people to the real Jesus. And man, that stirred in me. And I remember I got up first Sunday, had a whole series designed around this mission statement, told the whole church, we're starting with a brand new mission statement. And I said it that first Sunday, repeat after me. We exist to introduce real people to the real Jesus. And now again, because I'm a little ADD sometimes, I came back the second week and I was like, does anybody remember the mission that we have as a church? It was crickets. Everybody's looking at me confused, like, I don't know, I don't remember. 3 weeks later, I kind of asked the same questions. Does anybody remember what the mission, because I'm saying it every week. Does anybody remember the mission of our church? And they're all kind of looking at me like, it was something about, I know there's the real Jesus. Like Jesus is in that statement. I know that for a fact, but nobody could remember what it was. Fast forward about 8 months later, not an exaggeration, about 8 months later, I had been saying it every single week. I'd encouraged anybody with a mic, make sure you're saying, hey, welcome to Revive Church, where we exist to introduce real people to the real Jesus. Before I knew it, as I'm saying that, I would open my messages, my sermons with it. One day, I said it. Hey, welcome to Revive Church, where we, and as soon as I started it, almost everybody in attendance, minus a few, temporary guests, first-time guests, or people who didn't attend regularly, start saying it with me. It took that long for it to get into people, for them to memorize it. And so if you are communicating something to your team, to people in your church, and you're feeling like, man, they're just not getting it, give it time. Keep saying it. Say it over and over and over and over. Every meeting you have, every video call you have, every casual conversation, remind them of what it is you need clarity of. Keep saying it. Second thing is you got to show it. So you got to have visuals, checklists, examples to show what success looks like. You can't just say it, but you have to have it written down somewhere. We have cultural values in our church. And I remember when I first created these, I did a whole sermon series, one week per value for 11 weeks straight. Well, do you think everybody remembered those cultural values for 11 weeks? Not at all. No way. So what do? We put it on our website. We have banners hanging in our church foyer that have our cultural values on them. Every Sunday before we start the service, we have a host who gets up, welcomes everybody to Revive Church, where we exist to introduce real people to the real Jesus. And hey, we want to celebrate one of our cultural values with you. And then on this screen behind me, there's a screen. It has the cultural value. Every week we show it. So when you want success in, let's say, an event that you're doing, you can't just tell somebody, hey, this is what success looks like. I want to see this many chairs. I want to see this many trinkets. I want to have this music. And I want to do this. No one's going to remember that. But if you write it down, right? If you have a visual, if you can draw something out, you give them an example. This is why I've been scolded for this before. I'm a big advocate of not going to a bunch of conferences and seminars. It's just a personal thing. I kind of got burned out on those. But somebody recently has been telling me, hey, we really need to take our team to this church or this conference, because how can they catch the vision of our church if they don't see an example of what the vision looks like? And so I want to encourage you as well. Don't be afraid to send your church to another church. Don't be afraid to send your team to that conference at that church that you trust. Man, those pastors aren't looking to steal your people. They're looking to invest in your people. And so we recently took a lot of our team members to a conference last year, and man, it woke them up. They saw some things in that conference. They heard things in that conference. They came back as a brand new team. They were ready and on fire. Pastor Stephen, what's the vision? We want to do it with you. So show your people what success looks like. Lastly, store it. You're going to say it, you're going to show it, and then you're going to store it. You have to store it. So write it down somewhere where the team can access it later. whether that's a Google Doc, whether that's a message thread on Discord, which, by the way, that's what we use for communication now. It's free. Whether it's a folder, whether it's physical piece of paper, digital, whatever, you have to store it somewhere so that people can come back to it. And here's what this does. This will cut down the time that leaders have to explain themselves again. If everything is stored somewhere where people can easily access it, they don't have to come to you for questions. They don't have to come to you and say, hey, what did you say again? No, it's right there for them. So I would highly encourage you, if you're leading an area of ministry in your church, write down the priorities, write down the systems, write down how things are done, and write it down simply. Empower your team by storing what success looks like, and they can access it anytime they want. If it's not written down, it's not remembered. How many pastors have said that? Take notes, because if you don't write it down, you ain't going to remember it. I'm guilty. Well, guess what? If it's not written down, it's not remembered. And if it's not remembered, it's not reliable. Every person on the team, whether you're leading a ministry, whether you're showing up to serve, you can help create clarity. So ask questions. Ask questions like, hey, just to make sure I heard this right, do you mean... There's a guy on our team right now, his name is Alex, and he's our brand new production director. He has a little bit of experience in production. And so when we first started meeting, we started talking about the vision for our production team and what it looks like to go online and do these podcasts and different things. I would say something, and man, he would stop me and go, hey, just to make sure I heard this right, do you mean... And then what's crazy about this, he's very smart, by the way, he would wait a couple weeks until we had our one-on-one meetings, and he would ask the exact same question. And I don't know if he did that purposely, but I have a feeling he did. He said, you remember when you said this? I just want to clarify, did you mean, or I just want to get your heart on this, or I just want to hear, again, what's the vision for this particular thing? And he's asked those questions 3 or 4 times because he knows something. If I, as the leader, change my mind every time he asks me that question, it's not going to be reliable. So he has to then, if I'm changing my mind, he has to then come back and go, Pastor, you said this the first time, this the second time, this the third time. Can we sit down and really discuss what is it you mean when you say this? Here's another good question. Team members, listen, ask this question. What is the win for this Sunday? What's the win for this Sunday? Now, I know a lot of churches are like, the win is when the word of God goes forth in the name of Jesus. The gates of hell are stormed. Okay. No, seriously, what's the win for this Sunday? Is the win for people to sign up to serve on a team? Is the win for 5 people to be baptized today? Is the win to see 3 new guests today? Is the win in your kids' ministry that there's no kids who we have to call their parents out of service to come get them because they are being little hellions? What is the win? Is the win that young kid who's autistic, who doesn't function by what we would consider more normal for other kids? Is it that he has a great time, that he doesn't lose his temper because we've created an environment for him? Seriously, what is the win? Ask your team, ask your leads, what is the win for this Sunday? Because not every Sunday is the same win. Focuses shift, but you have to get clarity. Last question you can ask. Where do I go to find that information later? Boy, I've been convicted when people ask me that. Hey, you said this, where do I find this later? This is why it's so important to store things and have it organized. Find that person in your church. Maybe that's you. You have the gift of administration. Start telling your pastors, tell them those leaders, I'm going to write down the things you say. I'm going to organize it so everybody has access to it. Because clarity is not just the leader's job, it's a team value. And when everybody owns clarity, no one gets left behind. So this week, don't assume everybody is on the same page. Like, seriously check for clarity. And if something matters, don't just say it, show it, and store it. Whether you're a pastor, a team lead, or a volunteer on Sunday, clarity is kindness. Clarity is how you show people you care. And when we all fight for clarity, we're going to serve better together. And we're going to serve together better. So here's what I want you to do. You can download a free talking point called the 3 formats. 1 message, 3 formats. It's a cheat sheet for your ministry team. You can download it using the link below in the description. Get with your team this week. And by the way, I'm not talking about just your executive or leadership team. Like if you're a kids team, if you're the nursery team, if you're the host team, download this and get together. Use it as a quick gut check before any meeting you walk into, before any Sunday huddles, any announcement. Just use it real quickly. And I want to encourage you as we go on this journey for clarity, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of these or other episodes. I've got some great things planned to help you and your teams know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and bring simplicity back to the church. Let's make church simple.